Federal Executive Council approves 169.7 billion naira for projects under the tax credit scheme. Nigeria's Treasury Chief suspended without pay over 80 billion naira fraud. Plus oil prices recoup early losses on China hopes and global supply fears. This is Business Express on a network service of the Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA, and we are reaching you from Abuja, the nation's capital. I'm Liakatun Babatunde. You're welcome. We'll begin the business of the day by informing you that the Federal Executive Council on Wednesday approved the reconstruction of 4 critical roads infrastructure in parts of the country under the tax credit scheme valued at about 170 billion naira. Works and Housing Minister Babatunde Fashola announced these while briefing journalists after the council's meeting presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari. The scheme seeks to encourage public-private partnership interventions and is a 10-year scheme that enables the federal government to leverage private sector funding for the construction or refurbishment of eligible road infrastructure projects in Nigeria.
Very critical road. It leads to the Mambila Plateau. It also provides access to the Gashaka Game Reserve and also supports access to many farmlands. And as you know, the Taraba people are predominantly farmers.
The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, suspended the Accountant General of the Federation, Ahmed Idris, this Wednesday over an 80 billion naira scandal. The suspension was contained in a letter by the minister dated 18th May 2022, in which she said the move was necessitated by the need to allow for proper and unhindered investigation into the serious allegations in line with Public Service Rule 030406. The minister stressed that during the suspension period, which is without pay, Mr. Idris is not expected to attend to his place of work or contact any official in his office. Figures from the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, have shown that Nigeria's international trade deficit increased by 175.13% from $152.94 million in January 2022 to $420.79 million in March 2022. According to the trade summary on the CBN's website, the overall value of international trade in the first quarter of 2022 was $28.77 billion, with imports at $14.77 billion and exports at $14.01 billion, resulting in a total trade deficit of $764.69 million. In February 2022, the trade imbalance reached $190.96 million, with exports at $4.7 billion and imports at $4.89 billion. A massive increase is recorded in March 2022 at $420.79 million trade deficit, with exports at $4.57 billion and imports at $4.99 billion. On the commodity market, oil prices rose on Thursday, recovering from early losses on hopes that planned easing of restrictions in Shanghai could improve fuel demand, while lingering concerns over tight global supplies outweighed fears of slower economic growth. Brent crude futures were up $1.53 at $110.64 a barrel. A look at prices of oil and other commodities on the global market. A credible and stable insurance industry is one of the prerequisites for a functioning economy. Such credibility and stability can be achieved through efficient regulation and supervision of insurance institutions. How is this working in West Africa, and how Nigeria and West Africa can catch up with global best practices is our focus on the program today. Our guest is Abayomi Oyekusi. He is the Regional Manager North, Old Mutual Nigeria Insurance. Thank you for coming on the program, Mr. Abayomi.
Thank you for having me.
Great. So can we start by you giving us a sense of understanding what the insurance landscape in West Africa looks like, and where is Nigeria in the mix?
Okay, thank you. So in West Africa, the insurance landscape presently is interesting. It's coming up, but we're still behind. That's just the truth. We're behind the global players. If you look at, and where Nigeria, the penetration in West Africa presently, most especially Anglophone West Africa, is about 0.3%.
Oh, wow, that's so poor.
So it's still very, very poor, yes. And so a lot of factors are responsible for this. Again, when you also look at insurance in West Africa, which Nigeria is playing a leading role now, because as you speak, you also begin to see the influx of Nigerian insurance companies even to some other West African countries. So we're taking that leadership position in West Africa. But it's still very, very underdeveloped. And then it's segmented. So you have Anglophone and the Francophone West Africa. And across the Francophone West Africa, the regulations are a bit milder. There's free access. But you still have a lot of regulation, borders, and all of that in West Africa. Then even the insurance companies, they are kind of segmented across Anglophone and Francophone West African countries. For example, in the Anglophone one, you have some associations like WICA, which is West African Association of Insurance Companies, and the Anglophone ones, which most of the time now you can even do insurance across the border. So it's still, we're still a bit behind, but it's very interesting. It's growing. Looking at West Africa, our population is also helping it, because now you are having West Africa still have a very young population. Technology is growing. The economy is, projected to continue to look up, and all of that. You know, a lot of infrastructures. I listened to you when you were talking about even the road project. So it's looking up. It's looking up. There's hope, but we need to catch up. We have a lot to do to catch up.
Okay,
yeah.
So when you say we have a young population, what does a young population in insurance mean?
Okay, so in terms of product, there are a lot of resources to tap into, because really retail insurance, when you look at retail insurance, you look at the one for workers in terms of planning even for retirement and all of that. So these are the people to target. And again, when you also look at distribution, because now insurance has to look into technology. There's no two ways about it. COVID has even helped. I wouldn't know whether to say help the matter or complicated the matter.
The dynamics.
Yes, because now in terms of distribution, you can't just but go through technology. And then so you have this young population who are technology savvy, who buy a lot of products. So it's just for us there to make sure that we tap from these resources. Even in terms of working class, a lot of things, retail insurance is really growing, and that's where to go eventually. And these are the people, when you talk about the older population, most of the time now you are just looking at annuity, maybe planning for your retirement and all of that. But most of the insurance that people take, the young ones now, they get work, you buy car, you own home, you are planning for this and all of that. You want to have kids, you want to plan for the insurance, the savings. So a lot of...
So you basically insure for the now.
Oh yes, a lot of opportunities, a lot of opportunities. Even you have a lot of young people going to agric now, because agric insurance is something that is going to grow very well. Even the federal government, if you look at most of the things they are doing now, the focus is on agriculture too. I see a lot of federal government agencies even coming up, setting up finance houses to look after agric. So a lot of things to tap from.
So while we're tapping into a lot of these things, we look at the supervision now in Nigeria. How effective is the risk-based supervision?
Okay, so supervision in Nigeria has been good in recent times. It hasn't been that, but it's been improving. And you just mentioned the risk-based supervision. That for me is the way to go, because it's a way of looking forward. So what it means is that the regulatory authority then allocates its time and resources to different insurance companies based on the kind of risk inherent in those companies, the risk open to those companies. It's a departure from just the compliance way of supervising insurance industry. So it helps in capital capital allocation. Now we're in the process of recapitalization in the insurance industry, where each company, based on the kind of business you want to do, then that's the actual capital you need. You don't need to have low capital or big capital, and you are not sweating the capital. So risk based is, if you are carrying special risk, then obviously you have higher capital requirements. Obviously you deal with good reinsurers, because insurance also needs insurance. So that's why you have reinsurance companies. So you have good reinsurance companies, and then what that now helps you is it helps in terms of even claims payment, because we had before, when you have weak companies doing the high risk business, then when it comes to claim, they don't even have enough capital to even pay these claims, because even your reinsurance arrangement is a function of your capital. So each one, it's more like you are, what you can eat is what you are cooking. If I put it in that layman's, so it's based on, if you are takafu, if you are doing just small business, you don't need big capital. And then it's also able for the regulator to quickly identify which are the high risk, which are the medium risk, which are the toxic one, how to affect all of this. Then again, it helps in, if you are going into this, then you must then begin to develop capacity around this. You begin to train people. You begin to bring, so a lot of actually, it's still early days, we have our challenges in terms of risk base, but you begin to move in that direction, then you begin to have a lot of qualified professional actuaries and all of that in this. So the regulatory authority, for Nigeria, NICOM, has moved towards that direction, and that's what they've approached. That's what they are doing presently, and it's better. So by the time we are through with the capital, this recapitalization process, then you are going to see people, companies grouped along that line. And NICOM is also trying to do that across, like I told you, we belong to WICA, which is the West African Association of Insurance Companies. So we are taking that leading role, because however you look at it, Nigeria has the largest potential in the whole of West Africa for insurance. So we can't just but take this leadership role. So we are also helping to develop capital around the West African sub-region in this regard.
So while we develop this capital, the College of Insurance Supervisors of the West African sub-region are actually about now rounding up their meeting, and Nigeria is sitting at the top of that college, something very remarkable. But then Nigeria also, at the opening of that meeting, indicated that it will assist any member states of the WAMSI to develop their RBS framework. How do you see this panning out? Does Nigeria have the capacity to extend this risk-based supervision to the entire West African sub-region?
Yeah, I believe we do. I believe we do have that capacity. Like I said, if you want to train people, you have to get trained first. And I've seen a lot of that happen at the regulatory body now. You know, you have a lot of people coming. As a matter of fact, the way we are being supervised, now you could see it in terms of even technology and all of that. A lot of things that you cannot get through in the old NICOM. Now you get it easily. A lot of things are working. And that's one positive thing about the whole of this RBS and even Nigeria as a whole. I mean, we can't just, not being proud now, but there's no way Nigeria will not take leadership position in West Africa. That's our rightful place. So it's just for us to do this. And like we said before, we have a lot of professionals now coming in. NICON has taken in so many professionals to make sure that we can also extend this. Because, again, West Africa sub-region, with just the monetary policy, so many other things, if we are moving in that direction, insurance cannot afford to take the back seat. So, and one other good thing is that a lot of Nigerian insurance companies are also even in some of these West African countries already, you know, as good top players. So we're already exporting this experience, this capital into this market. So NICOM is just supporting what we've been doing all along in this market. And if you look at one other good thing about this now is that foreign reinsurers are also having confidence in coming into West Africa now. If you look at in the last 1-2 years, or in the last, let's say 7-8 years, the number of foreign insurance companies that have come into Nigeria, and you find out that most of them, they always come to Nigeria first because they know we have the capacity, we have the expertise, we have the human resources to do this. So when you first develop Nigeria, then West Africa will develop automatically, yes.
Okay, fantastic. I must thank you for coming on the program this morning. And of course, I've been speaking with Mr. Abayomi, who is the Regional Manager North of Old Mutual Insurance. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Have a nice day. Yes. So we move straight to our special segment, Surviving COVID-19.
Surviving COVID-19 series is brought to you in partnership with the Central Bank of Nigeria.
I'm into business like cutting, bed sheets, window blind, and also other sorts of interior equipment. I'm into it, yes. I started this business since 2018. This is our business. Like now, it's so hard for us. You can say, look at all the shops, my neighbors, all of us, we are just gisting, discussing how it is. Because now, before, and as that 2019 to this 2020, things are moving fine. Only that coronavirus, it just come and affects all our business. Some people lose their shop, some people quit from the business. Even we that is here, we are just managing. We are trying to accommodate, encourage ourselves, because if you quit from here, where are we heading to? That is why. It's only my service. Do you understand? I will personally tell you, my service, I spend it finish. And since by the special grace of God, when they suspend the COVID-19, do you understand? We are just meeting up small. Do you understand? I hear about that. I even see the message, but you know, those things is something that you have to be careful about them, because anything concerning loan, you have to be capable and be serious about the loan. Do you understand? You can't just go into the loan, go and collect loan when you know that what you have is not up to pay back.
Surviving COVID-19 series is brought to you in partnership with the Central Bank.
The Spanish Data Protection Agency, AEPD, has imposed a penalty of 10 million euros on Google for transferring data to third parties without a legal base to do so and for hindering citizens' right to erasure. AEPD said it found out that Google had passed information that could be used to identify citizens requesting deletion of their personal data under EU law, including their email address, the reason given, and the URL claimed to a US-based third party without a valid legal basis for this further processing. The agency also ordered Google to adjust its procedures for the exercise of the right of erasure in relation to requests for the removal of content from its products and services. And back home, the equities market extended its bearish run on Wednesday following the crash in equity capitalization by 0.06% at the close of the day's trading. The all-share index shed 0.07% to close the day at 52,721.34 points, while market capitalization fell to 28.4 trillion naira. 611.9 million shares valued at 7.4 billion naira were traded in 5,948 deals. The financial services industry led the activity chart, with FBN Holdings, Jais Bank, and Guaranty Trust Holding Company PLC occupying the major spots. And the market resumed this morning on that note. We move to the global scene where shares fall this Thursday on inflation jitters. Here is an update.
Stocks lead this Thursday, tracking a steep Wall Street sell-off as investors worried about global inflation, China's zero-COVID policy, and the Ukraine war. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index led losses regionally, falling 2.47%. Mainland Chinese stocks also declined, with the Shanghai Composite fractionally lower, while the Nikkei 225 in Japan fell 1.89%. European equity markets also looked set for another rough day. France's CAC 40 fell 1.89%. Germany's DAX was down 0.63%, while London's FTSE was 0.95% lower. U.S. stock futures were mildly lower in early trading after the Dow Jones Industrial Average experienced its biggest one-day drop since 2020. Futures on the Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 0.16%, S&P 500 edged 0.18% lower, and Nasdaq 100 slipped 0.33%. African markets are set to open lower this Thursday after a mixed trading session the previous day. South Africa is already seen opening 1.59% lower, Kenya 2.20%, and Namibia 0.02%.
Thank you, Nneka Oko, for that report. And let's look at the currency market before we go. And this is where we end this episode of the program. Don't forget, you can access all previous episodes on YouTube, on the NTA's channel. You can also communicate with us on Twitter. We value your feedback. Do join us again on Friday at 3 p.m. for another package. My name is Leah Katung Babatunde, signing out on behalf of the entire crew and saying God bless Nigeria and have a wonderful day ahead.